Welcome back to yet another morning where I tell you guys, today I'm just taking it easy. Well, I am once again. I slept in a little bit this morning, which was really nice. And I've just kind of been knitting this morning, just kind of doing some laundry and just some stuff around the house. Don't have too much on the schedule today. So I did just want to check in with you guys about some knitting plans that I want to put forward for this week. I think my big mission is going to be to focus on the tulip loop roll neck a bit more. I keep putting it down and just not getting a lot done. And then every time I pick it up, I do so much in one sitting because now that it's joined in the round, it's honestly just a really meditative knit. I was working on that last night and then this morning, gonna keep working on that this week. You may remember in my last vlog, I made a lot of progress on the chroma hood by Cosmati. I literally just have the face ribbing left to do, and then I need to make the I-cord that goes through it. Shouldn't take me too long, but slip stitch ribbing and I just don't really get along that well, so I'll probably just wait until a night where Eddie and I are watching a movie and I can just kind of zone out and work on that. When I finish the chroma hood and I need a break from the roll neck, I have another project that I want to tackle, which is unraveling this sweater. I made this for Thanksgiving of 2023. At the time, I was really into freehanding projects. I don't do that so much anymore. What was happening for me is I was ending up with a lot of garments that just don't really fit well and I don't like. This is a ton of yarn though, and it's so warm. Like the only reason that I brought this sweater on this trip is because even though I think it's butt ugly, it's so warm that I was like, it will be useful in the Canadian winter. I just started thinking, I think I can frog this and repurpose it. In terms of today, I don't have much going on, like I said. There's one more yarn store in the city that I know I want to check out, probably tomorrow. So I'm thinking today, I'm probably just going to hang out around the house, get some knitting done, and then I really want to see a movie tonight. I can't decide if I want to see The Last Showgirl, the Pamela Anderson movie, or if I want to see The Brutalist. But there's a really great movie theater by us, and they make really good popcorn. So I want to go there and see another movie, and those two are both showing today. Before then, if I get the gumption, I know that the Goodwill, or it's called Renaissance, but it's a Goodwill company, they accept yarn donations. I noticed that last time I was in there shopping. And I have a ton of scraps left over from making my cardigan 2 weeks ago that I would like to donate there so someone else can use them because I'm not going to. So I might do that today, might do that tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. Either way, I think it's just going to be another really great week here in Montreal. So much happened on Tuesday. I wasn't even planning on it, but I ended up getting a ton of progress made on my chroma hood on Monday night. All I had left for my chroma hood on Tuesday morning was to sew up the face ribbing and make the cord that runs through it. So that's what I did. It didn't take me very long. From the moment I tried it on, I just couldn't have been happier with how it turned out. The fit of this is exactly what I had in mind, and this yarn ended up being incredibly soft. That kind of got me fired up, and I decided to have a very productive day. So I decided to grab my yarn donations for Renaissance, and I took them to the donation center, dropped them off, and by then I was already in the area of the other yarn store that I wanted to check out here in Montreal. It's called Les Garçons. They're actually a local yarn brand to here, so they make their own yarns, and half of their store's inventory is their own yarn brand. There was a ton of cool stuff there, but I didn't end up getting anything. I was kind of having a out in public with a nearly dead phone situation. But they had a ton of good options, and there's a pattern that I'm going to be making in the spring that I think they had the perfect yarn for, so I'll definitely be coming back. From there, I headed to meet Eddie at the library, and then we grabbed some lunch. We got some shawarma, which, if you've been watching my vlogs, we have not stopped eating shawarma. And then it's literally never too cold for bubble tea, so had to get some bubble tea. I've made so much progress on my tulip loop roll neck that I actually had run out of yarn. So I had to wind up another skein for that, and from then on, I spent the rest of my night knitting that. I've been knitting away at my sweater and I just counted, and according to the pattern, I only have like 25 more rows to do. I would need to try it on before I like commit to that, because to me it still looks pretty cropped, but I think that there's like a lot of ribbing at the bottom of the body of this one. But because it's snowing so hard, I think I'm just gonna stay in. I'm going to get some progress on the body of this sweater, and then we'll see what exploring we get up to. Today was really great because I found a new to me coffee shop that is so cool. I had the best pistachio croissant of my life and also a really good chai latte. But I just kind of camped out and found a really cozy spot, and I made a ton of progress on my sweater while I was there, and now I'm going to show you. So I did about 10 rows of knitting, which for the body of a sweater and me being a slow knitter, that's impressive. Technically, I should just have like 13 more. So I really don't have that much left of the body of this sweater, and from trying it on this afternoon, I do think that that's where I'm going to stop the body, because I still have like 2 inches of ribbing to do. I also have to speak to the Barbie Expo for a second, because this is a random little fun fact about me. One of the like many odd jobs that I have worked in my tenure as a freelance artist in New York is working in a costume shop for a national theatrical touring company. So like a production company that puts on musicals that tour the country, basically. One of the shows that I worked on, I guess a year ago now, was the Cher show. One of my friends was working in the shop, like they were my boss, and so they let me try on one of the Bob Mackie designs, and yeah, I'm gonna insert a clip. And that design was one of the Bob Mackie Barbies that were on display at this expo, so that was just like a little fun moment. I'm gonna spend the rest of the night, I think, just watching some YouTube videos and working on this sweater. Oh my gosh, I think we might be living in the worst case scenario. I've been knitting on my sweater and I ran out of my mohair, my alpaca blaze, so I went to go get another skein of it. Now remember, if you're all caught up, you know that this is from my stash. I didn't order any new for this project, I don't believe, but I had at one point just bought a bunch of this green alpaca blaze, so I thought that I had plenty for this project. I didn't take any measurements into account, which is like, why didn't I do that? When I went to go get this next skein of alpaca blaze, I realized that I think it might be the last one that I have with me. There's 1 or 2 more places in my luggage that I could check, but just based off of where I know I put all my yarn, oh my gosh, I think this might be it. And that means I'll be able to finish the body of the sweater. Who knows? I might be able to do the turtleneck portion, but I definitely cannot order more of this yarn to come to this Airbnb, because every time I've ordered from Hobbii to the US, it takes a hot second. That's kind of the trade-off. It's like affordable, but it takes a while. So it just kind of is what it is. Like if I don't have any more here with me on the trip, then I'm not going to have any more until I get back to the States after Valentine's Day. I really wasn't keeping track of how much of this yarn I had been using. I was keeping tabs on how many skeins of my base yarn I had left, but I wasn't even thinking about this. And the skeins aren't that big, so we'll see. I guess this is actually a good moment to tell you about what I did this morning, though, because it may become relevant if I can't knit on my sweater for much longer. But I started frogging my old sweater project that I was telling you guys about. So very much of the time that I made this, the construction's crazy. Like, I'm kind of at a point where I just like don't even know where to start pulling from on some of these pieces, because my methodology of construction was just very interesting. But I was able to go ahead and get a sizable quantity of yarn ripped out. After frogging all this morning, I got a clear sense of a balaclava idea that I would like to freehand, which would be kind of nice. Freehand project to freehand project. And I just kind of want to experiment with it. And it may be kind of a blessing in disguise that I'm running out of this yarn, because doing something like that sounds a bit more interesting to me right now than continuing on this sweater. But I am going to keep plugging away on my green sweater because as of right now, I'm like 3 rows from the ribbing, so might as well just keep going. That's all that's happening. I've just been knitting today. I think I'm gonna go meet Eddie at the library in a little bit. Okay, today flew by and I'm actually about to go to bed, but I wanted to check in with you first. Yesterday I started the body ribbing on my tulip loop, and kind of the minute that I reached the body ribbing, I stopped working on this. I think I'm in the middle of like my 4th row of ribbing. I'm hoping that I can actually bind off the body tomorrow, so here's hoping that I get a lot of miraculous progress made, but no promises. The reason that I wasn't really working on that is because I started working on this balaclava idea that I have, and I just haven't freehanded in a while, so I was getting more excited about this as I was working on it. Also, we went out today to a coffee shop for a while, and this was a much smaller project to bring with me than that sweater. So this is what I've been focusing on for the past day or so. And I'm excited about this. I think it's gonna be really cute. I had to frog it quite a few times to get it looking exactly how I want it to, but now I'm really happy with what I have. So that's exciting. I'm glad that I got a good start on that project, but I think I'm gonna set that aside tomorrow and just focus on my sweater. The other thing I wanted to show you is this book that I got today. My big focus for knitting on this trip was that I wanted to learn how to make socks, and if you've been watching my other videos, then you know that I have now done that. I also speak a little bit of French, and since we've been in Quebec, I've been realizing that I really want to get better at it. So I thought this was the perfect find. This is a sock knitting pattern book in French. So I thought that would be kind of fun. I can like try and see if I can sharpen my language skills and my sock skills all in one go. Plus I think the designs that are in here are really cute. So that's my update. We have kind of a full day tomorrow, so we'll see how much progress I make on my sweater, but I have a feeling that we can get a lot done. I just have a feeling. Good night. We started our day at an escape room that was probably one of my favorite escape rooms I've ever done. It was a completely immersive experience. When you get into the building, you're immediately welcomed by an actor who like ushers you into the living room and tells you all about the house and basically just like it gives you all of the lore, but in a way where it's like, oh, thank you so much for coming to visit. And then we had an hour to do our escape room and we did it. So slayed. After that, Eddie surprised me by taking me to a cat cafe, which I've never been to one, but I've always seen them, and that was super fun. There were a bunch of really cute cats walking around. My favorites were named Pistache and Luciole. After that, we ran some errands, and one of them was really fun, and I think you'll be interested. Last night, for the first time, Eddie asked me to knit him something. That's never happened before, so it's very exciting. He asked me to make him a pair of socks, so I'm going to knit him some socks. We were in the area of La Maison Tricoté, which if you watched my second vlog of this series, it was the first yarn store that I visited on this trip, but the day that I went, I had a really bad migraine, so I was just kind of like floating around the space. So I knew I really wanted to go back, and I'm really glad that we had an excuse. We were in that area today. So he wants some like smiley face socks. So there'll be color work. I haven't done color work yet, but he said he doesn't really care when I get them to him by. So I thought it would be fun if we went to that store and we picked out some yarns. So this is what we went with. It's by the brand Lang Yarns, and this is their Jowl Superwash. And yeah, I'm really excited about that. Ever since we got home, basically I've done nothing but binge Sophia Nygaard videos and work on my body ribbing. I'm about halfway done with the body ribbing. I'm supposed to hit 8 centimeters on it, and then I have to do a few rows of double knitting. I've never done that before and I don't really know what it means, so we'll see. But right now I'm at about 5 centimeters of body ribbing, so it's looking good for finishing this at least tomorrow morning. Now at this point, I know what you're probably thinking, which is, Addie, why are you keeping your sweaters in the freezer, and why did you put us in the freezer for that matter? And that is a good question. The answer to that question is that we are staying in an Airbnb in a basement unit, and I'm petrified of moths. So I've been keeping all of my wool and all of my wool sweaters in the freezer for the time being, just as like sort of expert level hard mode moth prevention and extermination, perhaps. You may remember that I mentioned this pattern calls for double knitting in the last 2 rows of the body hem and that I had never done it before. Turns out it's super easy. It's just slip stitching with your yarn either in front or behind. Didn't know that. So I did those 2 rows before I went to bed, and then this morning I got up and I did the bind off. I'm gonna be honest, I can't really tell the difference in the double knitting and the normal ribbing throughout the rest of the body, but the hem looks really clean, so maybe that had something to do with it. I am so happy with how this is looking in terms of the knitting. Sweater body reveal. If I don't sound that excited, it's because, quite frankly, this morning was kind of tumultuous with casting this off. So I got it all finished, I was super excited, and then I threw it on, saw that it was fitting perfect, exactly how I want it to be, and then as I was taking photos for my Instagram, I noticed that there is a noticeable difference in the skeins of yarn that I used from the top of the body to the bottom. It's a little bit harder to tell where I'm standing right now, but basically when I take a picture on my phone, it's like light green, dark green, and there's such a clear line on the sweater where it is. So I was just heartbroken when I took those photos, and I was just wondering, should I frog up to a certain point in the body of the sweater and then reknit it and alternate skeins. Alternating skeins is a common thing that people do when they're working with hand-dyed yarn because there are often a lot of irregularities even within the same dye lot between different skeins. So you can alternate every row using a different skein, and it's supposed to kind of help even everything out. I've never done that before because that sounds annoying, but I was wondering if I should frog back and do that for this. So I asked my Instagram, and literally everyone was like, it is not that big of a deal, which was really helpful to hear because I really was like in full crisis mode when I first saw those photos this morning. And even now in trying it on again, I'm feeling like it's really not that bad. The idea of frogging all this back, like even though maybe that's a good idea, I don't know, at a certain point it feels like that might just sour the whole experience of knitting this sweater for me and take the fun out of it. I'm really thinking if I wash it with some warm water, I'm gonna have a situation like what happened with the last sweater I made, where as it's washing and blocking and sitting in the water, all of the dye is gonna kind of loosen up and like kind of tint the whole sweater overall. I don't know. I know now we're kind of like reaching a little bit and we're doing some mad science here, but I think it's going to be okay. And though it has kind of like dimmed my sparkle on my excitement of being done with the body of this sweater, I do just want to talk about the things that I'm really happy with about it because I am really proud of this achievement. First of all, being the fit. I was really drawn to this pattern to begin with because I love oversized big sweaters and I love turtlenecks. And I'm really pleased with the fit right now because it's already looking like big, but like in a way that's still flattering, and I know that it's going to grow considerably with blocking. That happened with my swatch, but also just like there's so many cables in this sweater and cables just want to grow. So I think by the time all is said and done, I'm really going to love this sweater, and I'm going to love how like big and baggy it is. I also just like am really proud of myself, like looking at this whole thing. This is like not the kind of sweater that I would have thought that I would have been able to do like, I don't know, just a few months ago. So I'm really proud of myself and the progress that I've made. I mentioned before, maybe, actually I don't know if I've said this on here, I did my decreases incorrectly on one side of the V in the back, and though that's a problem that's really noticeable to me, I think like now that it's all like said and done and all together, I don't really think you can tell that much, and so I don't really care. And I also like learned a lot in the process of messing up those decreases, so that's actually like a valuable learning experience. This is my first time doing seed stitch, and I just love the way the side panels look with that stitch pattern. And I'm really excited. And trying this on, like, it's actually not that itchy. And that was my worry with the alpaca blaze that I'm holding my yarn with. But I don't think it's gonna be that scratchy. I am gonna wrap up this vlog here because this was a doozy and I need a break. If you guys watched this whole video and you liked what you saw, thank you so much, first of all, and please be sure to subscribe. I do weekly vlogs where I take you guys along on my week and I show you my crafting and all the things I'm up to. If you wanna follow me on Instagram, I'm @_the_dropstitch. And I hope I see you all next week. Until I catch you in the next one, please be sure to drink some water, stretch your wrists, and please purl responsibly. Bye!